All right, first and foremost, call halal Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. That's all praises to the Most High in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Salutations, peace and grace be upon the elders and the Akim that do this work in truth and in sincerity. All right. Want to get into another article. This one is from RT News, and it's titled "China Warns U.S. that Trade War Could Escalate into Great Depression and World War." All right. An escalation of the Sino-American trade conflict could lead to a repeat of the great catastrophes of the 20th century. A Chinese envoy has warned, just as Donald Trump once again threatened to slap China with additional tariffs. And the Most High, the Most High is putting the spirit on Donald Trump, who we think is a great president and doing an outstanding job. He's putting the spirit on this man to rouse up these heathens, man, to anger them, to make them hate America more than they already do, and eventually rise up against America in war. All right. Just days before Chinese and American leaders are set to meet on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Argentina, the Chinese envoy to the U.S. issued an ominous warning against further escalation of the trade conflict that could potentially break the symbiosis of the two largest world economies and entirely cripple global trade. I don't know if people really realize the possible consequences, the impact, the negative impact if there is such a decoupling. Ambassador Kui Tianaki told Reuters in an interview, stressing that further escalation could recreate the dire economic conditions that once led to World War II. And that's the conditions that we're seeing in the earth coming, man. The same conditions that led to World War II are gonna come about, and World War III is gonna pop off. All right. The lessons of history are still there. In the last century, we had two world wars, and in between them, the Great Depression. The ambassador said, "I don't think anybody should really try to have a repetition of history. These things can never happen again, so people have to act in a responsible way." And that's what's not going to happen. Trump is going to continue to be a demon, continue to put sanctions and to do all these various things that he's been doing to enrage nations like Russia and nations like China, so that this world war goes off like the way it's supposed to. All right, and we should be happy and rejoice about that, us that are in the truth, because that means it's almost time to get up out of here, man. I'm gonna get a scripture. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24. I'm gonna start at verse 3. And he sat upon the Mount of Olives. He is talking about who the world calls Christ, Yahweh Shai. The disciples came unto him privately, saying, "Tell us, when shall these things be? And when shall be the sign? And what shall be the signs of thy coming, and of the end of the world?" And Yahweh Shai answered and said unto them, "Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Mashiach, and shall deceive many. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." And that's what we see. Wars throughout the earth, conflicts all over the earth, and rumors of more conflict and more wars coming, right? And all these things must come to pass. Why? Because it was written in the scriptures that it would come to pass, right? And the Most High's word does not go all void. Let me get that. Isaiah 55 and 11. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whether I to send it. So that's what's gonna happen. The Lord said it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, and he's gonna accomplish that which he pleases, and he's gonna please him, and he's gonna take pleasure in destroying America, man, in this third world war. Okay. Go back to Matthew. Matthew 24:7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And once again, this is what we're seeing, right? The kingdom of China, which we know through the spirit of the Moabites, coming up against the nation of the so-called white man, the Edomites of the Bible, which we know through the spirit is spiritual Babylon, America. All right? Good. And we should be happy about this. We should be rejoicing in this. All right? The second Ezra, chapter 13, verse 29. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth. And this is why we need to be rejoicing, because these days are coming. All right? And he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. Yeah, right. So when he comes, they're going to be astonished, because he's going to send his son, who the world calls Christ, who today would be a so-called Negro, and the world is going to be astonished, because who they ignorantly call Christ, Yahushua, who they think is a white man, is going to come back as a black. Who they think is a white man who's going to come save everybody, is really a black man who's going to come as so-called black man, and who's going to come back and save so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans only, and the scattered Israelites. All right? And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. And that's going into that third world war that's coming. All right? And it's prophesied. Okay. Next. This is Revelation chapter 11, verse 14. The second woe is past. Right? That second woe, that second world war is past already. All right? And behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And it hasn't been that long. It hasn't been that long since the last world war. And this next world war is coming very quickly. All right? You can see it around the corner. The climate is there for it to pop up. All right? Jeremiah chapter 50. This is Jeremiah 50 and 35. A sword is upon the Chaldeans, right? Chaldeans dealing with Babylon, right? We once again we know through the spirit that America is spiritual Babylon, all right? So a sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith Yahweh, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men, all right? And that's what's happening right now. A sword is hanging over this place. A sword, and that sword is the thermonuclear missiles that belong to nations like Russia, China, all right, all these, the BRIC Union, all those nations, their nuclear weapons. Those are the swords that are upon the Chaldeans, upon the spiritual Chaldeans and spiritual Babylonians, these so-called white people over here in the Americas. This is Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 62. Then shalt thou say, O Yahweh, O Lord, thou hast spoken against this place to cut it off, that none shall remain in it, neither man nor beast, but it shall be desolate forever. And this is how we know that this is speaking about spiritual Babylon, because Babylon over there in the east, it's still inhabitable. People still inhabit it. It hasn't been utterly destroyed the way the scriptures describe it. All right? And like we just read earlier, the Most High's word does not go void, come back void. All right? Go back to Matthew. Matthew 24 and 6. I want to get and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. And that's the thing, we can't get troubled over these things. that we're seeing come to pass. We need to rejoice in these things. We need to haste. We need to make haste that these things happen quicker, man. And that's why it's so imperative that we do this work and we go out and we teach our people. All right. This is 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 12. Looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of the Most High, wherein the heavens, being on fire, shall be dissolved. And that's what's coming. Once that third world war pops up, these other nations that are confederate, going to get confederate against America, are going to let off all their nuclear weapons. All right. And that's how the heavens are going to be on fire. All right. The heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Once again, that's those thermonuclear missiles. Verse 13, nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness. That's why we got to be looking forward to this, man. That's why we got to be wanting for this place to be destroyed. Because when this place gets destroyed, that's when the new world comes, where it's just going to be righteousness, all right? Good. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 9.